Hello everyone, and welcome to this short screencast I'm going to make on writing a research proposal for your EPQ. We've come to week 9 now on the EPQ program. Congratulations for getting this far. And now it's time to start to formally decide what it is that you propose for your project. Firstly, I want to say this doesn't mean that everything is set in stone. There is the opportunity to be flexible and to change. However, I am looking to see now that you're serious about the EPQ and that you're thinking about a research question that you can answer. So altogether, the research proposal should be about 1,500 words long, and that's with all of your references, etc. And as I'll show you, you can put some appendices on the end. That will be something that could actually complement the research proposal. Now, first of all, of course, you're going to need a research question, or, if you're doing an artifact purpose. I'm going to do a separate screencast for the artifact proposal, though. So you'll begin by writing about 150 to 200 words, an introduction, that introduces your topic. It kind of should catch the reader's attention, but the most important thing in the introduction will be to state the problem, and then to say what your research question is going to be. In this section, you should explain why there is an argument. Remember, the research question must have an argument. It should not be a how question that is going to lead to description. It should be a question that is going to cause a dynamic between two or more views so that you're going to argue and evaluate. And in the introduction, you could put a little bit of background or context for your research, okay? The second section of the proposal will be a basic literature review. By this, I mean you will show that you have read some articles. And I've said I'm looking for a minimum of 10 articles, okay? In your literature review, you're going to talk about some of the books and scholarly articles that you've looked at, and you can put some references down to show that you've looked at these. Also, by now you will have completed a lesson in critical evaluation. So I'll want to see that you are looking at the articles critically and evaluating them, looking for things like bias, using perhaps CRAP methodology, which you should have covered in class, or Raven, or your own form of critical evaluation. And in this basic literature review, these are suggestions. You could talk about important background. You could go on to explain why there is a debate and go into more detail. You could show how there are different viewpoints, how they differ and why they differ. What are the different assumptions? What are the different criticisms that they make of one another? Again, I want to repeat, the most important thing about the EPQ will be that the report or the essay is argumentative. It shouldn't be giving me a lot of detail about science or geography or history. It should get into an argument, a contest between different belief systems or different points of view. So you want to provide some detail of your current reading, and you could also end in this literature section by saying what you're going to go on to do. Remember that this is a proposal. It's not actually an essay or a final report. So I'm looking for at least 6 different academic articles, and you can also use a number of newspaper, websites, YouTube videos, podcasts, magazine articles, etc. What I want to see is that you are building up the material for a literature review. Now, moving on, you can optionally put in a section on primary research. So if you're planning to do some interviews, or if you're planning to do a survey or a questionnaire, you could put that forward here and explain what you're going to do with that data, how you're going to get that data, how you're going to evaluate that data, etc. Then you will end by having some kind of provisional conclusion. Are you tipping towards a certain answer to the research question? How are you making sure that there is a balance between the different sides? You could say something about how you are coping with your own bias and partisan feelings. And really the conclusion has to be evidence-based. It can't be based on your own opinion. So if you put down here which way the evidence seems to be going. Later, when we study the report itself, I will teach you about strong and soft conclusions. A strong conclusion being a very obvious one, a black and white answer. And a soft conclusion is a more balanced one, where you might say, in this way, this group is right, but in this way, the other group is right, okay? And then finally, I want a bibliography or a reference list, and there should be an absolute minimum of 10 things. Now, you can also add an appendices section. This would be something that would be very good and really help both your coordinator and your supervisor. In the appendices, you might put down 1 or 2 or 3 mind maps. You might use a table of argument like this. It's an excellent thing to do before you begin writing, to say evidence for, evidence against. If you do a table of argument like this, it's vital for your appendices, but it will also scaffold your argument in the report, and it will make sure that you have a balanced argument and that you have data and evidence on either side. As I say here, we would like some sort of critical evaluation table, something like a CRAP table, currency, reliability, accuracy, authority, purpose. And here's an example of one, okay? So I would like this done for at least 6 sources, where you say something, you put down the title, the author, make sure you've got a reference, and over here, this person is critiquing it and showing that they are evaluating the sources. This is an absolute key skill in order to get an A or an A star in the EPQ. Now, I'm going to end by saying this research proposal will be really important, but most of all, it is so that we can see that you are genuinely engaged on a proper research journey, and it will be necessary to hand this into your supervisor by the end of term if you are to go on with the EPQ. Now, I have got 2 students to make videos to help you with your research proposal, and I'm now going to show you where they are located. Now, on the EPQ SharePoint site, I've included a box over here for research proposals, and you can find it. If you click inside, you will see that I have placed down 3 different student research proposals. Matthew, who did a science EPQ research proposal on sugar. Dia, who did a CRISPR genetic modification proposal. And Kasia, who did an artifact research proposal. All of these are excellent. And I'm going to strongly recommend that you watch these. Now, if I click back, you will see that I also have a number of research proposal examples here for you to look at. And these are excellent exemplars of what it is that we are looking for. Now, each of these students went on to create EPQs that were awarded A-star grades, and they will represent the best kind of planning on the EPQ. I'm going to end by saying I'm very pleased that you've reached this particular stage. But now the real work begins, and we would like these in as much detail and with as much accuracy as possible. So in the remaining lessons and in your free time, you must be working on this research proposal. And I must reiterate, it is an absolute necessity to complete this before the end of term if you are to progress with the EPQ. By all means, come and see me and see your supervisor, but the majority of the work will be independent. Good luck with your research proposal, and I hope to see you next term in the EPQ class.